diving so deep into my feminine signature. And that journey has really led me to like working with my inner muse. And to me, like the muse is like the deepest part of your feminine expression. Like she is the feminine fabric, like woven at like the deepest part of your soul. And when I got to this work, what I really realized, like you were sharing, is like to really meet her, to meet the muse, to meet the genius, to meet that unique artistry of your soul. It's like you had to let go of those molds and those templates. And where you're like, oh, well, she's like this and she's successful, so I should maybe try this on and maybe I'll do this. And like your muse doesn't care about any of that. Like your muse is your muse. And your muse is going to look different than my muse, and they're supposed to, right? So I think that like so much of feminine leadership and feminine power and awakening your genius is awakening your inner muse. Welcome back to the Shadow Priestess Embodied. I'm your host, Kaylyn Rutkowski, and thank you for joining me today for another deep dive and exploration into your inner world, into your body, the shadow realms, where we will begin to explore some of these esoteric principles and really begin to drop them down into modern day application and embodiment. This is a sacred place where you can begin to truly meet yourself, meet your medicine, and to meet your magic. This is a place of remembrance. Take a deep breath and let's begin. Welcome back, everyone, to the Shadow Priestess Embodied podcast. I'm so excited to have you with us today and to share with you one of my beautiful friends, Tanya, and her amazing genius. So before we dive into our juicy conversation, Tanya, would you like to introduce yourself, talk about who you are and what you're doing in the world, and we'll start from there, babe.
Hello, Kaylyn. Thank you very much for having me on the pod. I'm very excited to be speaking with you and, of course, to be interviewed by you.
Roles reversed.
Yes. And welcome to everyone who's listening to us. Thank you. My name is Tanya. Oh my God. I change my bio every time. Like, it's never the same. Like, never the same.
I think that happens with all like all multi-dimensional women. We're like, how do I fit my expression in a bio? How do I fit I was like, it's just like a slap in the face. I can't do that. I always feel like that too.
Yeah. And then it's like, do I make it sound more toward the cool side or casual or friendly?
I'll take the raw, authentic truth of who you are.
Man. Well, I'm a Belarusian Italian woman. I live in London. I founded In Her Genius, which is it's also there. It's a website for starters, where I started sharing the genius of other women, because I had no idea what genius is. I couldn't define it. I could just observe something that I wanted in other women, but I couldn't really understand what it was. So I started this website interviewing women who I regarded as expressing their genius in the world in a variety of ways. Yeah. And just after 2 years, it evolved into a small indie publishing house. So I do that. I work in a deli, and thank God for it, because otherwise I would be a hermit at home. Yep. No freaking interaction with real life people. Yeah, I'm working on my third book of poetry, which will be published in Italy by another publisher this year. yeah, I'm just constantly evolving. That's why I feel my bio changes a lot. It depends what I'm doing right now more than
Yeah.
what I did, what I studied, and all of that.
I think if I had to sum up you or your work, like, in one word, I would say you're an artist. Like, you are a feminine artist, you are 100% a creative. I had the pleasure of working with Tanya and reading some of her poems and her children's stories and just all the things that you do, and it's extraordinary, like, through and through, creative and artist to a T. And I love that, I've got to kind of be on this journey with you as you created In Her Genius when that really I can literally remember having conversations where you're like, "Okay, like, what the fuck is genius? Like, what are you talking about? Like, what does that even mean?" And I love, like, how you articulated it because it is, like, this thing that we see, and I think in women, but in men too, but it's just this part of someone that is just undeniable, right? It's like you see it about them and more like you feel it
Yeah.
from them that they have this flavor that is just so undeniable about who they are, and it's magnetic, it, like, pulls you in, so I love that you've taken that and you've just created this whole brand out of it, it's honestly extraordinary. And I'm curious if you wanna dive into, like, what that journey's really looked like for you, because behind the scenes, Tanya and I were talking about feminine leadership and the path to really following your calling and how, yeah, it's not linear and there's no step-by-step guidebook, so I was wondering if you'd wanna share a little bit of that process with our listeners.
Yes. Um, I'm very happy and grateful that this interview actually comes at sort of time when I'm pivoting, because I spent the first 2 years interviewing 40 plus women. And funny enough, I couldn't understand what's my genius. I was like,
Mhm.
oh my God, it's so easy to, like, I started seeing patterns, but also being really quick at identifying the genius in another woman and put the, the dots together, connecting the random things of her life into something that really made sense, but that on outside it didn't.
Yeah.
So I feel that through that, I also realized how I think the motto of In Her Genius is really we celebrate too muchness and little sense, because the the the, the common denominator of all these women is that they are too much in the eyes of
Mm.
the world, in the eyes of, I don't know, sometimes friends, sometimes family,
Yeah.
and so some many times they tend to hide a lot of things and a lot of
Mhm.
talents, especially if they're good at so many different things. It's like, how the fuck can you be that good? Um,
Yep.
and so what I learned also is that leader doesn't mean to be a boss,
Mm.
and to be a boss doesn't mean that you're a leader. And leader, even the word implies it, you lead and you take a lead. And so in some ways, these women who perhaps many of them, nobody knows who they are, what they do. They rarely even share on social media, which is where everyone hangs out and thinks that if it's not there, it doesn't exist or it has no value. Um,
Fucking crazy world.
but somehow, by still doing it in the sort of shadow of existence, they update or how can I say, they feed the subconscious field of sort of womanhood. And so across history, women who perhaps now it's becoming also a trend to like uncover or bring back to memory some extraordinary women, while still ignoring like what's in the present moment. But it's thanks to them, even if they didn't get the success that their brothers did, or their father, or their spouse, they still allowed us today, even just you and me, to be more free, to know somewhere that you can do it. You can be independent. You can speak up. And it saddens me that it's not everywhere in the world still. But I think observing all these women, I became so, I don't know, even proud of being a woman. Because I feel like I started it really for myself. Because when I was growing up, I really couldn't figure out what it was a woman. How are you one? How do you become one? How should I be like her? Because I could see these. This is the thing. Now I understand. I could see already or recognize this or feel the genius of different women, but they were so different. And I thought, oh my God, should I be like her? Or should I be like her? Or should I be thin, because thin looks really good on her, but then she is not thin and she's fabulous. Should I be like that? And so I kept looking outside, and I think after these 2 years, I came back really to just uncover who I am and take really big pride in that, and stand alongside all these other women without necessarily wanting to be them or like them, but just more like me. And so I think expressing your genius, it's really expressing your uniqueness. Like there is not, even if you write and she writes and she is a poet, but the way you write, the way, even the same story, or even how you describe the same feeling, it's never going to be the same if you authentically express it from you, like
Yeah. I do know what you mean, and I honestly love that you're talking about genius really coming back to, like, your authenticity and your uniqueness and your too much and your otherness, because you know that that is, like, my domain, that I'm always like, "More." Like, be that, like, show that, like, that too sexiness, that bitchiness, that wildness, like, bring that to the table, bring that to the room, and I've been really, over the last probably 6 or 7 months, really diving so deep into my feminine signature. And that journey has really led me to, like, working with my inner muse. And to me, like, the muse is, like, the deepest part of your feminine expression. Like, she is the feminine fabric, like, woven at, like, the deepest part of your soul. And when when I got to this work, what I really realized, like you were sharing, is like to really meet her, to meet the muse, to meet the genius, to meet that unique artistry of your soul. It's like you had to let go of those molds and those templates. And where you're like, oh, well, she's like this and she's successful, so I should maybe try this on and maybe I'll do this. And like your muse doesn't care about any of that. Like your muse is your muse. And your muse is going to look different than my muse, and they're supposed to, right? So I think that like so much of feminine leadership and feminine power and awakening your genius is awakening your inner muse. It's awakening the deepest parts of yourself and your soul, and really moving that into like embodied expression, where you really come home to being a self-sourced woman, where it's like, I don't need you to tell me that I'm good at what I do to fully have an embodied belief that I'm powerful and I'm fucking epic at what I do, or that I'm incredible. And how much like the feminine outsources her power and her genius, and even like dilutes it or dims her light, because we're so heavily conditioned that unless we have the validation, unless someone's giving us the high fives, unless we have the money, you know, whatever accolade of success that you have in your mind you need, that you're nothing. And that's not like, the feminine doesn't give a fuck about your certification. She doesn't give a fuck about your accolade. She doesn't give a fuck about your degree. She cares about your embodiment, right? And I think that's what you're really speaking to. It's like, it's not even about what you did in the world. It's like the feminine leadership is like who we're being, and how that saturates the whole collective field for all women to rise in their power.
Exactly. Oh, I missed your energy.
So, side caveat, how long have we known each other? 3 years, 4 years? 4 years?
Oh me. Oh wow. Yeah. I think 3 maybe.
3 years. So yeah, I met Tanya 3 years ago in a coaching container I used to lead in, and yeah, we just fell in love. That's why we're here today.
It's also been wonderful to witness you.
Oh, I'll receive that. I'll receive that. Um, oh, now you got me all in my heart, all in my feels. All right, let me drop back in so we can deliver this. Whew. So, in your perspective, I really like how you were talking about how just because you're a boss, you're not a leader. And if you're a leader, it doesn't mean you're a boss. Can you speak like more to that paradigm and like what leadership really looks like or like means to you?
um okay, I'll do an example just because I think I can unravel it more from there. I've worked for a lot of people, and I I had bosses, and it's it's been really difficult. I would say 99% we're not leaders. We're not people I admired or was inspired by, or that could
Mhm.
take out from me my better qualities to help me up level in my work or in me as a person. So I find that leaders set an example, but they also follow it. Like
Mhm.
they're just that, and you admire them. Like, and many times a leader doesn't even realize he's a leader or she's a leader.
Mhm.
Um, Feminine leadership. I would love to say that it's gentler. Um, but I think those women that I've seen and met, that I can say I take them for um, sort of my leaders. Maybe they're not leaders for everyone. Um, they are they have complex characters, and sometimes um, although they're coherent, there might be, what's the word in English when uh, I lack the word, so maybe it's not the word. Yeah, I just think they have a strong character that it's not well received often.
Mm.
And I feel
I
that the women who the women who freed me, or along the years, have been very difficult women, very almost hard to love, or harsh, or very direct. Whether it was in the writing or when I met them and we crossed paths. Like there was a hardness about them, but it was super on point. Like
Yeah.
there was no fluff, or they were unapologetic. And for me, those are really the leaders.
Yeah. I think like what's coming to my mind when you're talking about this is like feminine leadership really being an embodied expression.
Mm-hmm.
And what I mean by that, it's like a woman who completely has redefined her relationship with power, and especially personal power. Because as women, we have this massive collective wounding in the field to be good girls, to be people pleasers, to be, martyrs. So when you're talking about meeting these women who were almost like repelling or edgy or hard, I think just collectively we're not seeing, or we're not used to seeing women in power. So when we meet a powerful woman who has boundaries, who says what she wants to say, who moves how she wants to move, like there is kind of this like, oh, wait a minute, like we're allowed to do that? Wait a minute. You know what I mean? Like they're alluring to us because it's not something we see on the masses. We're used to seeing the yes girls and the good girls and wanting those to be the liked girls. And I think women who really are in their power are the women who are brave enough to push that edge and to really move into authenticity and to really, be repelling. I think that like for me, for example, I noticed that when I first got into coaching, like I wanted so much for my clients to like me. Like, and not that I still don't desire to have good relationships with the people I work with. I do, but I realized that like that's really not what's important. Like, they're not coming to me to become my best friend and for me to like them and for them to like me. They're coming to me so I can fucking help them move. And until I got really like raw, like with what I was really seeing and like calling out bullshit, and I didn't have the same magnetism, where now I have so many people that get magnetized to me in my work because I'm so willing to be repelling and to be edgy and to talk about and say the things that most people don't want to say or go to. But it's like this beautiful inverse reaction that like when you actually go into your depths and go into the things that are supposed to be like, shh, shh, no, we don't say that, we don't act that way, people respect you because they're like, damn, like she's powerful, right? Because she's so embodied in her essence and her truth and her genius, right?
Yeah, exactly. There's a lot of, I find also, an acceptance of self, be it of those round angles or those sharp angles.
Mm-hmm.
And at least for me, it's been, yeah. I mean, I modeled for 20 years, and I was taught to mold myself,
Mm-hmm.
to be anything for anyone. So it was really a journey of self-discovery, and then discovery. After discovery, I had to accept.
Yeah. Yeah. And I love that you're talking about acceptance because I feel like at least what I see on social media or like people say to me, it's like, how do I love myself? I want to love myself. And I'm not trying to like poke jokes or sound sarcastic about that, but to me, like acceptance of self is more. or is more valuable or more needed than love of self. Because like if
Yeah.
I can accept all the parts of myself, then it's like I'm welcoming like the whole spectrum of who I really am. And then those things that maybe you see as like a hard edge or a negative quality, when you really begin to accept it and integrate it, it's like you can alchemize it into a light expression and how it can actually serve you. Like my whole life, I was bossy or I could be bitchy or, and it definitely did have a negative expression in my early life. I'll say that. But now it did. I was kind of a bitch. But now it's like I use those same energetic mechanics to really serve me. It's like where I can put in boundaries, like where I'm comfortable saying no, how I lead myself, how I lead my clients, without being the yes girl or like me, pick me, choose me. It's like that bitchy energetic mechanics helps me show up and hold space in a different way. Do you know what I mean? So it's like alchemize after you accept it. It's like accept and then alchemize it so that those things that you perceive as negative actually can serve you and serve your genius and serve your mission that you're on. I really don't believe that we have good or bad qualities. I think it's just how we utilize them and express them, which like determines how they're maybe accepted or interpreted by the world. But yeah, I think all of you is perfect and all of you is welcome.
Yeah, it's for me actually, it comes easier for me to be very stuck up or hard. Um, just because also my model persona has been that
Yeah.
that. So the discovery for me when my closest friends or people who really know me would come and say, but you're really good with people and
Hmm.
you're really fun and I'll be like, God, no, I'm not. There's no,
Yes.
I was like, I so don't want to be that person. And so sometimes what you think you are, you're not really that.
Yeah.
Um, and
I think
so,
it's funny you're sharing that because one of the things that like triggers me that way because like I see myself as this like fire and like kind of like, yeah, kind of personality. And people always tell me like, "Oh my God, like you're so nurturing. Like you're so nurturing. Like you're so lovey. You're so this," which that is part of who I am, but I've like rejected that for so long because like the bitch, the bad bitch archetype, like whatever it was that I was like clinging to. But I realized like that part of me that I thought was like too nice or too lovable or whatever, that is the part of me that has the large capacity for depth, for intimacy, for connection, for service. And it's like if I didn't have that aspect of me, it's like I couldn't show up and do my work all the way.
mhm,
But is it always best to have that part of me lead? No, like she has a time and a place, but it is so funny of like these little parts of yourself that you try to like compartmentalize or reject where it's like no, actually it has this beautiful like omni synergistic like nature when you welcome all parts of who you really are into the room and into everything that you do. Um,
yeah,
I definitely have found that to be true.
I, I always thought that that was my alter ego on the good day. Like
Yeah.
I was like, I could observe myself how shiny I was on parties where I just allowed myself to, I don't know, be fun and outgoing and stuff. And I thought, oh yeah, that's my alter ego. I'm not like that
Yep.
at all.
Yep.
And yeah, I really wanted to be this cool, cold, distant person. Um, because yeah, I thought it was cool. And also because you see the people, like the image of the person who's successful and wealthy or rich or powerful and stuff, it's not usually, it doesn't look like this fun, outgoing, smiley, warm personality. And so
Yeah.
I thought again, that I had to embody that, which I have a part of me, but really I'm more this other fun. So maybe the alter ego is the other.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. I love it. And I know I said it at the beginning, but I think that, what we keep coming back to is that, like, we carry so many molds and templates that are not authentic. And they literally are from our conditioning, from our programming, from our environments, our families, relationships, whatever. And it's like, really, when you start going into self-discovery and really trying to like meet your feminine power, meet your muse, you realize like how many of these like constructs that you operate in that really are not even you to begin with. And really beginning to play with like, well, like, how much more of me is there to uncover? How much more of me can I bring to my life? How much more of me can I bring to my work? Because a few years ago I would have told you like, oh, I'm expressed. Like, I've been talking about woo-woo shit forever that other people are just waking up to now think is cool. Like, I would have told you like, my fear of being seen is gone. Like, I am me. And over the last year, man, I met so many new edges and so many new parts and so many new things that wanted to be expressed. And I think that's really when I got into like this muse work and really awakening that deep, deep, deep feminine part of me and realizing like, wow, I haven't even scratched the surface to like the potential or the fullness of this expression that wants to come online. And I think that if you're listening to this and you're being like turned on or activated as I'm talking about this, I'd really invite you to drop into your body, to get out of your head, to move into your heart, to move into your womb. And to me, it was like a consistent practice where I was like inviting her. I was asking her to show me her. What does she feel like? What does she smell like? What does she dress like? What does she look like? Like, show me, and noticing what I feel in my body, noticing if I get images, and constantly just getting into such a felt sense of what that expression felt like, looked like, smelled like to me, so that it's like I could notice more when she showed up in my life, when she was trying to move into my life through opportunities, through creativity, like whatever. And it's like whenever I follow my muse, like I'm always following my highest timeline. I'm always following my truth. I'm always following what's best for me. So I feel like to anyone listening to this, if you've been interested in feminine arts, power, anything, like go meet your muse, honey, because she's waiting for you. And that is literally like the doorway to everything that you and I are talking about. Feminine power, your genius, your soul mission, your highest timeline. Like it comes from awakening this part of you. Like I can't beat that nail on the head enough. I'm going to scream about it from my soapbox till I'm like 95 years old. Hopefully I live longer than that maybe. But yeah. Okay. And soapbox.
So I'm curious. For you, the muse is inside, because for me, the muse is outside.
Yeah. So
Energy.
when we're talking about like muse, right? You're talking about, I think from your lens, like something that like sparks your like creativity or your inspiration, right? Like in artistry, like that's what a muse is, right? It's a thing that like moves your creativity. And what I'm speaking to is like uncovering like that most inner part of yourself, right? So like you could look at like someone and be like, oh yeah, she's my muse, or this song or this place is my muse. But it's like you becoming your own muse, you awakening the deepest artistry and expression of your soul, your energetic mechanics, your deep feminine, versus me seeing you and being so inspired that you're my muse. And that's when we start letting go of like the molds and the templates from other people and identities and awaken our own. That's what I'm talking about.
That's interesting. Oh, in fact, I think I read a quote somewhere a long time ago and I forgot, but it's like there were some memes on Instagram going around with "be your own muse."
Yep.
So
Yeah. I actually
funny
made a
how
reel about that yesterday.
what?
I made a reel about that yesterday. Go look it up.
Oh,
But yeah, it's like becoming your own muse. It's becoming like the light, the like coming to that self-sourced like expression where it's like you are the deepest part of your inspiration, your creativity, your life force, your Shakti. Like when you are fully like calibrated and just oozing that, and it's so unique, right? It's not like anything else mold template you can see from anywhere else. It's like your unique energetic fabrics.
And this, and I think, yes, through that, I like when you say there's no template, because what I found out through all these interviews is that there was no freaking roadmap
Yes.
for anything that all these women
Mm-hmm.
embarked on. And I think living a life in her genius is a life without a roadmap, but it's a
Mm-hmm.
step-by-step discovery of yourself in the world, and who you are through what you do. And it doesn't matter
Mm-hmm.
what you do. And it's also that you know you're on the right path, your own, when you can endure the pain of not knowing, and you can endure the lack of applause from others,
Yeah.
the lack of acknowledgement, the lack of like, you can endure a lot of things, you just do it. And that's, but then you, it's funny because you can even, you don't have to make it your profession, or it's not about that, but it it's what helps you really live, because
Yeah.
sometimes the profession is slowly, it just like suffocates you.
Well,
Sometimes,
and
not
I
always,
think,
but sometimes it may happen. But if you live in her genius, in your genius, it just, I don't know, it makes you curious about life,
mm-hmm.
precisely because you don't know. It's almost like a sweet gamble, but sometimes nobody knows. It's just you and you.
And I think really too about really coming back home to like the path of the feminine, or maybe people identify more with like a conscious leader or a mystic. Like it really is your capacity and your ability to be in the unknown, to be in the liminal, where it's like you don't need that sense of certainty, or the relationship, the job, the money. It's like when you can literally just be in the pure darkness or the womb of the cosmic mother and still have such a deep peace within and a deep trust and resiliency, that's like, no matter what, I'm going to be okay. Yeah, I have no idea why life looks like this or where it's taking me, but I trust every time it's been in this before, it's led me somewhere absolutely beautiful. And I can confidently say that because I've done it time and time and time again. Like, I am a void mistress. I've lived in the liminality so many times. And I think that's why I'm so good about leading other women through that, because I'm like, babe, been there. Like, you're not going to die. I promise you it's going to be okay. But it's really building up that resiliency in yourself. It's building up that ability to be self-source safety, which that's a whole nother episode we could dive into, but that's a very big conversation. Like, what is really self-source safety? And if you can be that, and you can move with the unknown, and you can move with the darkness, your receptivity, your openness to God, to your soul, to whatever's trying to come in, happens so much faster because you're not resisting it. It's like you're trusting the seasons of life, you're trusting the flow of life. And, you know, what else was coming to mind when you were speaking is that, like, probably what the Western side of the world probably has a really shitty paradigm of purpose, where we think my purpose is to be a doctor, or my purpose is to be a mom, or my purpose is to be blah 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 blah, insert whatever you want, but it's very career focused, and the only way that you have purpose is based on what you do in the world. And it drives me nuts, and I hate that the minute you meet someone, what do they say? Hi, what do you do? What do you do for a living? What do you do? Like, all the value of who you are being is directly correlated to what you produce, what you achieve. And like, again, the feminine doesn't care about none of that. She doesn't care. She cares about like raw embodiment. So to me, like, purpose isn't necessarily like my job or what I do in the world, but it's who I'm being. It's
Mhm.
coming back to that unique artistry of your soul. Like, that is your purpose, when you can uncover your genius, when you can uncover your essence, and you be that everywhere, right? When I be that with my little girl at bath time, who I am with my partner, who I am sitting here with you, who I am with my mom, that's the purpose. It's not what I'm doing, it's how I do it. It's who I'm being while I do it. Like, there's the purpose. And I think if more people viewed purpose that way, it would be so much easier for people to find the pathways back home to their genius, to their selves, because we wouldn't be trying to fit in molds. We wouldn't try to be fit in constructs, jobs, identity that are unauthentic to our system, right? We're so disconnected from ourselves on a mass collective level, and we're wondering why everybody's so fucking miserable. It's because nobody even knows who they are. And they keep chasing little hamster wheels, trying to get more money, trying to get the girls, trying to get whatever. And it's like, that's not even who you are. Maybe your soul is an elder who wants to go live on a mountain and meditate with the monks, but you're trying to be a 7-figure entrepreneur and you're wondering why your soul's dead. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's a very drastic example, but kind of some contrast, so you see that, like, it's not what you think. Like, your genius, your purpose isn't ever going to be what you think it is, and you're never going to think your way to it. It's a non-linear path where you follow the breadcrumbs, where you follow the desire, where you follow the curiosities, where you follow that like pulling in your soul that there's more. It's like, and every time you do that, God's like, oh boop, here's a little bit more. Can Tanya show up and receive this? Okay, when she does, then I'll open this door. When she does, then I'll do this. But it never comes to you on a shiny platter with everything that you thought you wanted. It unfolds in the most magical way to somewhere you never believed was possible. And like, that's the power of the feminine, right?
Have you ever walked outside in pure darkness, like the woods
Mm-hmm.
and stuff? When I remember um, the last time I think I did it, because then I got so scared by the boars in the forest, and I was like, ah, I will never come back. But you can't see shit in the forest. What you can see is literally your next step. That's
Mm-hmm.
all.
Mm.
And when I realized that, I was like, wow, this could be like just to do it. It would be just like a mind training, even. Um, but I feel it's we lost a bit that capacity also because I mean there's lights everywhere. You never even
Mm-hmm.
walk in darkness.
Yeah.
You're hardly ever in darkness. So we're not even acquainted in that.
Mm-hmm.
So how can we ever feel very comfortable in jumping into something that we don't know what it is and we don't know what's the destination
Mm-hmm.
or when do we get if we get to is there a destination? Probably there's no destination.
But I think that's the invitation of the feminine, where instead of being destination or goal driven, it's like you fall in love with the becoming. You fall in love with the unveiling. You fall in love with the journey day to day, and like what's here for you. And that's how it gets to be so like enjoyable and ecstatic the whole entire way, versus like, until I get to this point, then I'm a failure. Until I have this much money, then I'm a loser. Until I have this, then I'm, you know what I mean? It's like we always make it or this or that. And whenever we do that, it's like more times than not, we fucking lose. We set ourselves up to lose all the fucking time. Where if we really just became anchored in our bodies, anchored in the present, followed our soul, followed the breadcrumbs and the drops that God, universe, whatever you want to say, is giving to you, like you'll always end up exactly where you're meant to be. And in my experience, it's always been somewhere better. But I think too, like, not to go on a whole nother soapbox, it's like this whole idea of safety and certainty is bullshit. Like, our ego is very, very good at doing what it does to make us feel like we're safe and make us feel like things are certain, right? It creates this false sense of security. But really nothing is. Like, I'm sitting here in my office recording this with Tanya, and the roof could fucking fall in at any second. I feel like I'm safe and nothing can touch me, but like it's an illusion. And when we base our lives and our decisions off of illusions of safety and security and certainty, we limit the possibility and the potential of our soul. So it's like moving into the darkness. And it's like, all right, how can I lean into the unknown and lean into the uncertainty? Because I will say almost every single time it has something more fruitful and more ecstatic for your life than where you're at, but you just fear it because you don't know it, because you've never been there before. Even if it's going to be better, you still are like, nah, I'll stay here in this room in my comfy chair because the roof's not going to fall in on me and it's not dark in here and the lights are on and this is where I want to be. But meanwhile, your muse, your feminine, your genius is hidden in a black hole that's like, come on, come find me. But we're so afraid to go there, right? But it's like, that's where the magic is. That's where the medicine is. And I feel that every feminine leader, every woman that I think is powerful was brave enough to redefine her relationship with power and darkness and the unknown. And that's how she got where she is today.
Yeah.
So, like, take this as your invitation, babe. Like, this is it.
Ah, so true. Mm.
So, I want to ask you one more thing because I ask everybody this when they come on. If there was like one word of advice, one mantra, one sutra that you wished all women knew, embodied, what would that be? Like, what is the one thing every woman on this planet should know?
Mm. You know, I really believe that the day you truly take a glimpse of yourself, your true self, you will never get enough of yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You will not look at another woman um, like you've looked at her before, in the way that with a craving for to be that or to have that. I really believe that the day that every woman sees herself in the depths of her well, she can't not be wowed.
Mm-hmm.
So until
I
that
love
happens, it means that she did not see herself really.
mm-hmm. I love that. And I think it's like it's making me think of too, like why I love coaching, because it's like, who's the one person you can't see when you walk into a room? And I've worked with hundreds of women who are fucking incredible. They're powerful, they're creative, they're just epic. And it's like they don't see it. Right? Like, you're this, you're that, you're ah! And they're like, mm. And it's because they haven't met that in themselves. They haven't seen that in themselves. They haven't embodied that. They haven't dug deep enough to have that rupture where it's like it's nothing but that, you know? So I love what you're saying. It's like until you like meet that part of yourself, you're always going to be hungry for more, and you're always going to be looking outside, and you're never going to see the majesty that is you until you own your genius. I love it. I love it. Okay. So, to everyone who's listening, Tanya, do you want to share where they can find you on social media? Any ways to work with you, connect with you? Maybe there's someone on here who would be a good candidate to be interviewed by you. And I will post all these links, but I want to give you an opportunity just to share that, and then we'll wrap it up, babe.
So you can go on inhergenius.com. You can follow on Instagram inhergenius. My account is private, but you can try to follow me if I like you. It's kind of I have a brand new podcast, but it's in Italian, just on Spotify, just almost spontaneous recordings are there. So yeah, that's it.
Well, I love it. Thank you for being here today. Thank you for sharing your genius with us. And I love you, girl. Thank you so much for joining me today for another episode of the Shadow Priestess Embodied podcast. Honestly, I'm having so much fun inviting on these incredible guests, incredible speakers, and really just creating a space where I get to highlight other amazing women's genius. Honestly, that is like my life passion, is really diving deep with people and really helping them to uncover who they really are at the core of their essence, really awakening them to that innate feminine wisdom and finding the courage to walk their soul led path. If this sounds like you and you are ready to live a life that is truly spirit led, the doors to my group mastermind Emergence just opened. And if you're someone who likes to go deep and wants something more intimate, I do have a few select spaces for my one on one private mentorship. And if you're not really ready to commit and you want a little taste of my world, please register for my free event, Pleasure, the Pathway to Healing, where I'm going to share with you all of my juicy, delicious secrets to live your most pleasurable, orgasmic, feminine life. Click the link in the show notes and we'll talk soon.